is always my pleasure. I have become friends with Katie Fuller now, who is with Northwestern Mutual. She's the managing director. I love talking to Katie because she was just so matter of fact and down to earth when we had our last financial discussion. So I'm looking forward to having another one today as it relates to older Americans. And that's me, Katie. How are you?
How are you? It's so nice to see you again.
Likewise. And so, you know what we do here. We just try to give folks news they can use, information that will empower. And so talk about, here we are, Older Americans Month, and people are seeing some not so pleasant things happening in their retirement accounts and what have you. And there are folks that are about to do that and are wondering, how do I prepare? So what news do you have for us?
Well, I think, no matter what, the market is always going to move, right? We know that. We have historical data that tells us that the market will move up and down significantly about every decade. And so, yes, like these are tied to some specific decisions that are leading us to see an impact in, our 401ks and in our pocketbooks, and honestly, just our confidence that we're going to get where we ultimately want to go. But what I can tell you is that whether it is tied to a specific administration or global events or a pandemic, the market will go down and it will eventually recorrect. And so the value of really working with a financial professional in that scenario is so deeply valuable, because people don't know what they don't know about finance. And that's just very, very normal. And so our job as advisors and support people in someone's financial wellness is really to help them understand that this is just a time and place, right? Nothing is permanent. Everything eventually corrects, and it will happen just the same in the market.
Now, I know that for some in our community, particularly, are living day to day, and then
absolutely,
God has given them the gift of a longer life, and now they're thinking about, okay, how do I support myself? What would you tell a 50-year-old or a 55? Now that they're part of AARP and they can benefit, right? What would you tell them about how to even start, their financial planning? Because it's late, but then
it's never too late.
Okay.
It's never too late. And so I would just say, first and foremost, find a financial advisor that you trust. And I acknowledge that's not always easy, right? Historically, I would say financial advising, it has been viewed as something that's for the wealthy, that is, complex. And it means that you will have to not enjoy your life today so that you can have this long-term outcome. But that's not really the case. Every person in this country deserves a financial plan, and everyone's situation is unique. And so even if, you want to go full DIY and try to do it all yourself, there's just so much to get through, and it's so nuanced depending on the person. And so first and foremost, I would say it's never too late to reach out to a financial professional that can help you identify what you can do in your specific situation to move the needle. And I think it's just really important to understand that when it comes to financial decision making, most of the decisions we all make, and that I am not exclusive or excluded from this, and I work in this industry, we make really emotional decisions about our financials. And so because of that, we experience a lot of shame in our financial situation. And I promise you, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. I promise you that just means your shame has more zeros attached to it. And so people will procrastinate and avoid meeting with an expert in finance because they don't want to experience that shame and have someone else see that shame. But there are so many people that just want to help, and they're not here to judge. They themselves have made some of the exact same decisions that others have, and have gotten that financial literacy that has historically been gatekept from most minority communities. And so the 50-year-old generation, right? People that are in this pre-retirement phase have never been educated about financial literacy. There is so much that has never been taught to that generation, again, especially in minority communities. And so what I really hope like anyone who's listening can really hears is that it is never too late. And I promise you, there is someone out there that you will click with and connect with and that you can truly trust to help shepherd you through both volatile times and times where things are seemingly go really well.
You know, there's still those folks, Katie, I'm gonna push this a little bit because you know, there are folks that just say, why do I need to do this when I don't have any money? Right? I've never saved anything. I don't have much in my savings. My bank account really is, you know, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely.
But I know, you know, I'm healthy. So, I mean, what can a financial advisor help me with if I don't have any money for them to advise me on?
Great question. I mean, some of the work we do with people is just helping them work through their budget, manage their debt, build a savings plan to start to give them some security of knowing like, hey, if something goes wrong with my car, I can still make it work. And then even beyond that, as you're approaching retirement age, it's, hey, when do I take my Social Security? When do I make these elective decisions and at what ages? And again, those are going to be really nuanced depending on the person and their situation. And so I think sometimes people think, I don't have any money and then therefore no one's going to be willing to give me advice or there's nothing they can advise me even on.
Right.
And that's just not the case. Our job, like we said, is just to help create financial security and make people be able to sleep better at night, knowing that they have someone that's out there that's to watch their back, right? It's just like going to a doctor, right? Like, yes, could I go on Google and be terrified by WebMD? Probably, right? But I would prefer, and most people know, we should go see a professional to help guide us through our medical situations, just like we learned from your last guest, right? That story from Mrs. Perry was so important about access to information and having someone that really cares shepherd you with the information that you need. And so I think that some of it is our own self-defeating thinking and thinking that we are not worthy of someone else's time and expertise. And that's just objectively not the case.
I want to bring in another group too, because as you know, we talked to Leslie Johnson earlier, who deals, who works with formerly incarcerated people, right? Mm-hmm. And so many of them go into the criminal justice system and come out in debt because there are bills that still have to be paid.
Absolutely.
And not knowing, I mean, does that prevent them from sitting down with a financial advisor?
Absolutely. There is,
that history.
Honestly, there is nothing that should stand as a barrier between someone seeking out support. And listen, I can't speak for every other financial firm. I can't, but what I can tell you about mine is that we are a very mission-focused organization that wants to perform at a high level, but wants to perform in a way that moves the needle socially. We are very active in our community. We want to make a difference. That's the driving factor behind what we do. And so there are plenty of clients that we have because it allows us to run our businesses. And there are plenty of clients that we have purely because it's the right thing to do. And so I really just hope people like hear there is no barrier. There is no reason why you shouldn't have this conversation, even if we can just give you some advice on how to manage that debt efficiently, what to tackle first and when to get a personal loan to restructure your debt, right? Those are all things that we can help someone with. But if they don't know, they don't know.
Right, right. So, you know, we're midway through the year.
Yeah.
People still have questions, and all of us are sitting now in your office waiting for you to tell us. I mean, one thing we ought to do right now that we may not have considered. I mean, I don't know if there's a universal thing that you tell people other than to talk to a financial planner, but we're talking to one.
And, right.
And we're, you know, especially as it relates to older Americans, is there some maybe tidbit of advice that you could give us before we go? that, besides, or I won't say besides, but in addition to seeking a financial planner, because this is
Absolutely.
something they're going to want to make sure you're doing.
I think a really important thing that also gets overlooked, especially as you're doing kind of later stage in life planning, is this concept of long-term care, right? We have all seen our friends, our relatives go through long-term care instances. So that means like having to live in a nursing home, needing in-home care, and all of those things are honestly just ungodly expensive. And that can be either the first and largest way seniors spend down their assets in retirement, but it's also can be a really significant burden on the younger generation if you don't plan accordingly. And so there are a lot of ways that you can offset that risk with a financial advisor, especially if you are in your early 50s, you're relatively healthy. Like there are significant steps that you can take that will not break your bank, but that will really protect that future self for both you and your assets and your legacy, but then also the younger generations in your family so they don't experience that significant cost.
Well, that was very, very helpful because in my group, there's a lot of conversation about long-term care.
It's so real.
But, folks are trying to figure out, and like you said, it's very, very expensive. But to know that there are options is a reason for us to be running to your door.
Yes.
So anything else you want to share with us, especially during this month, Katie, that Northwestern Mutual may be doing, or you're doing? It's really important to older Americans before we go.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this coming on this show, Denise, and getting a chance to speak with you. And honestly, the biggest thing I wanted to actually share is that I know how much movement and instability we're feeling, especially in the DMV right now, right? People are being laid off. People are being put on administrative leaves and they don't know where their careers are going to go. And interestingly enough, our managing partner, Leo Tucker, towards the end of last year, there's a Washington Business article or Washington Business Journal article about how we actually have this ambition to double our firm size so that we can actually serve the market in a much more substantial way. We're not currently equipped to be able to serve the DMV in the way that they deserve. And so without kind of realizing all the change that was coming in our community, we had already committed to literally doubling our firm size in the next couple of years before our managing partner retires. So if any of your listeners or even people that you know are looking for jobs and new roles and all of that, like I've got a role for everybody. Like I just need talented human beings. And I promise you, I've probably got something for you. So if people are looking for work, like please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or someone else in my firm because we are growing significantly in the DMV right now.
Well, that was a bonus. I'm glad I asked that question because folks are looking for work, and it's a I think a career or opportunity to share great information. I think we put Northwest Mutual up, but would they email you or would they go straight to Northwestern?
I honestly email me directly, katie.fuller@nm.com. It's very simple. Email me. Find me on LinkedIn, send me a carrier pigeon. I just want to help.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So if you get one of those, if you get somebody, next time we talk, maybe you can bring them along so we can learn what they've learned or what their experiences are like, particularly if we have people in communities, because not everybody, I know you're in the DMV, but not everybody is in neighborhoods where they can actually do hands-on outreach to folks. So I love the fact that your doors are open for that, and we need it. So
we do.
Thank you so much.
It's so great to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Likewise. Now we might see you again. I'm going to say maybe in August when we go back to school.
Yeah, happy to. Let's talk about 529 plans. Let's talk about planning for education.
All right. We got a date.
I love it.
All right, Katie. Take care. Thanks a lot.
So good to see you.
Likewise.
Where do you